Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast, where we watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. Your movie masters today are Justine.
Hi.
Brent.
Hello.
Dylan.
What's up?
And I am Colin. Today the docket is full. We've been doing extra credit. We've been burning midnight oil, baby. We got Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Moving On, Inside, Southern Gospel, and Magic Flute. It's been a busy week. We'll get into it. But before we get into that, some emails. As you know, our email lines are open. moviemasters760@gmail.com, and we love to hear from you, the listener, about any questions or comments you got. Starting off, we have a clarification on our Oscar special, our star-studded Oscar special. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We had fun making it. You guys had post-Oscar anything?
What do you mean?
I don't know. We spent kind of a lot of time talking about it.
Like how we feel, or
I don't know.
Is
is it a different world we're living in now that it's the everything everywhere planet?
I'm just amused that you, a person I've known for a long time, are just within the span of, I guess, 6 to 8 months, went from could not care less about Oscars, maybe didn't even know when they happened, to just like, hey guys, so who do you got?
I had dogs in the fights now. I don't know. But yeah.
I think we probably won't be able to tell for a little while, once people get recast in other stuff, like the Everything Everywhere,
right?
Let's call it hype, if it'll stick, which hopefully it does for everyone, but I think that's what we'll have to wait to see.
Oh, they got most of the cast got their own Disney series. It's that Chinese graphic novel. I think it's called Firstborn Chinese. My mom said she read the graphic novel, and so you got the three leads basically from that are in it, and it's coming out on Disney Plus.
Okay.
So the mom and the dad and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, the best supporting actress.
Yes.
I felt somewhat vindicated that I wasn't crazy at what a horrible pick that was. I feel like that's the whole world seemed to agree with us on that.
Oh, really?
one.
I didn't follow up. Was that the
Yeah.
sentiment?
I don't know. I mean, there was some she's been around for a long time, but I think other people were saying the same thing that we did, which is you can't just give these whenever to any performance just because somebody didn't get one yet. I think that's a really terrible way of doing awards in general.
So did people think that it was Stephanie Sue's?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I think that was the only outrage, if you want to call it that, or general piss offedness I saw. But,
I'm just down $5.
Oh.
Who won? Did you know the person?
No, I don't know who won.
Rigged. Demand a recount.
Very rigged.
Yeah. Count them all. Count all the votes.
It's because they got all the Western Front movies. They actually guessed them. And I was like, damn it, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, if you just wrote on Western Front, you did pretty good.
I know, exactly. I didn't know that it would do well.
Yeah, if you saw two movies and they happen to be everything everywhere in Western Front, you'd be like, oh, for sure these. You would have won that Oscar.
Instead, I'm going Austin Butler got it. They're just gonna give it to him.
Yeah, you're just 4D chessing your way out of the wings. That's what I did too. So, anyways, we have a clarification in our email, which is again moviemasters760@gmail.com, that sequels are automatically included into adapted screenplay.
Had no idea.
Convoluted
Wait,
entry.
don't get it.
That if there's a movie that's a sequel, it's...
I see. Then it is considered an adapted screenplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Adapted from a movie.
Right.
Okay.
Odd.
Weird.
Odd call. Odd category. I think we can all agree.
So that was just an addition to what we were able to deduce on what.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And this person also, a true hero, the Chad movie watcher, saw all of the shorts in the theater when they were all bundled together.
That's cool.
Yeah, this person saw them, while us, the virgin podcasters, didn't even make it out. So, who's the real movie master? Giving it to this person here. And we have another one. This could go in an odd direction. The homie Fracca is asking regarding some conversation we were having last episode, what we do for a living, given that you mentioned your record label, Brent. And What do we do outside of being movie masters? How did we meet, etc.? So we're just I forget that anyone listens to this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
let alone people who don't know me on a first name basis. So this could be a nice opportunity to say things about ourselves. I don't know.
The 4 people who probably wouldn't normally go to a party and be like, "Hi, let me tell you what I do."
Right.
Yeah.
I'm Colin. I own a record store in Vista, California called Standards, a record store. We've been in business for since 2012, so that's 11 years and change. And I sell records to people. I met Justine on a bus to Palomar College.
No kidding.
Yeah, in
Okay,
2003. George W. Bush was in office.
You gauge time by presidents. I love this.
Yeah, that's very weird. Oh, what do I do? Suffer
Okay.
constantly. Yeah.
Yeah, just
For a living.
Yeah. And then what do I do outside of the podcast? Edit the podcast.
I know Brent from internet.
Yeah, prior to me moving here, we knew
Yes.
each other on a message board. And then when I moved here, I went to Yelp and I typed in record store. And I went, wait a minute. And I said, hey, I think I live here, like near you
Like
now.
here. Yeah, North County is a very nice place to move to when
Yeah.
you're sick of doing things. But if you grew up here, you just turn into a really salty hater like me. And Dylan and Justine, who all grew here. So
I do a record label, and where it crosses over into movies is we license songs. It's called Dark Operative, and then there's a digital imprint called Pax Eternum.
and Dylan.
Dylan, I'm a demon.
How did they get away with having the
I know.
I'm a private man, dude.
There we go. Dylan's a private man professionally.
bands?
He's
If
a
you, need,
professional.
if you need a show in San Diego,
Hit up Brent. and
definitely
he'll
hit
get
up
you-
Dylan.
Hit up Brent. He will get you into
I will give
the
you Dylan's phone number.
House of Blues and the Belly
House
Up.
of Blues. If you want to play the Voodoo Room, hit
Yeah,
up
if you would like
Dylan.
to, I can't do that. I don't know any. I don't. What's music?
All right. Yeah. So I guess generally we're music people, and we're happen to talk about movies a lot on here because you get so sick of talking about records working at a record store.
I think we've covered but then again, there's so many episodes now. But like the origin of the podcast, I know for me personally, it was just like after we'd go see a big blockbuster Marvel movie, and last year, I want to say that we all started seeing movies that weren't Marvel movies, and
Forced by gunpoint.
well, I think was it Old that triggered. Speaking of gunpoint,
Somewhat. So they wouldn't watch movies that
Crimes
were
of the Future and
superhero
Old.
movies. Yeah.
so we definitely saw those in close succession. And I remember at one point I saw you and Justine on your phones. I'm like, what are you doing? You go, we're buying unlimited passes. And I said, you're going to see that many movies? You go, dude, it's only like 2 and you get your money back. I was like, okay.
I think it was a stacked bill that month. So
It was Thor, and it wasn't Crimes of the Future. It was like Thor and something else. What came around Thor? Was it Nope? It was Thor Nope that you guys wanted to save $16 for.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame you. I did the same thing. We all did.
I was like, all right, fine. Well, if we're going to do that, then everyone's going to suffer. And that's what we're doing. I also need to go on record saying it's not like I'm only watching Marvel movies, for God's sake. The Marvel movies superhero movies in general became like a detox. It's too much movie background stuff for me, just watching junk. So
Granted, it was like I said, it's like a subsection of the subsection of people that like really bad music. Okay, so to qualify it, but everybody's like, dude, he has this insane VHS collection that's like mainly like obscure horror and all kinds. So like at the time that's what I was into. So I was like, that's really cool, man. One day I hope to see it. And then he sold it before I moved here.
yeah,
Colin does have a really crappy taste in music.
it's true. No argument. Been listening to Brazilian death thrash nonstop the last 2 weeks. I have terrible fucking taste in music. Anyways, that's why we watch movies. That's why we watch really fun movies and why we like talking about them. And if you want to talk to us while we talk about them, you should email moviemasters760@gmail.com. We default comments to anonymous. So if you want your name used, let us know and we'll use it. Yeah, that's coherent. Movies. Shazam! Exclamation point. Fury of the Gods. Directed by David F. Sandberg. Written by a guy who wrote a bunch of Fast and Furious movies and someone else.
Huh.
It's the second Shazam movie, and I liked it better than the first one. I guess, what happens in it? Well, glad you asked. Shazam, which is a boy who turns into a superhero, and his family, giving that he split up his powers to a bunch of his foster home family in the last movie, somehow, they're at it. They're doing their thing. They're forming. They're gelling as a team, as a unit. And just as they're getting it all together, these gods come down. They're like, hey, stupid, those are our powers, and we want them back. These three sisters of, I already forgot their names. It was Greek names. One of them's, who's the lady that turns people into animals?
Animals?
Yeah, on the island. It's in the Odyssey. Calypso.
Yes.
Calypso is in the mix. She's one of them. Two other. They're Greek ladies, and
Anne.
they're, huh?
There's Anne.
Yeah, there's Anne.
And then
there's Lucy
There's
Liu.
the other two. Yeah, there's Anne, there's Lucy Liu, and there's Helen Mirren.
There we go. And they're like, hey, give us those powers belong to our dad. We want them back.
Zeus.
Their dad is Zeus. Sure, let's roll with it. And they're trying to get their powers back, but
Zeus is Wonder Woman's dad.
And whose dad is her dad? Hold on, let me see. Hades? Oh.
Atlas?
Because he's like, whatever, the Daughters of Atlas.
Okay.
The Daughters of Atlas.
Man, I
this
don't
and that.
so the
Recognize
three
Atlas.
daughters of Atlas
Yeah.
are back to get their dad's powers back because Shazam has Atlas powers, and they don't like it. They're taking those powers for themselves. Gobble, gobble, gobble. So it's basically, if you played Miss Pac-Man and you see the little Pac-Man going around getting the dots, that's the three daughters, and they're taking all the Shazam powers. If you haven't been able to figure it out, it's a very silly movie. But I thought it was fun. I liked it more than the first one. The first one, it kind of just glossed over. It felt like a not for me movie, or just like,
Really?
this is fine for what it is. I don't care. Seemed very YA. This one was like, if you watched Shazam when you were 12, now that this one's out, you're a little older, and this movie aged up with you, is my theory. So it's has a little bit more, maybe just more streamlined, or maybe just more interesting subject matter, since like they got the origin story out of the way. I feel like superhero origin story movies are always a drag, and I also will forgive like a boring superhero origin story movie when the second one is like, okay, we're up and running, let's go. And then it's exciting. But a lot of times the second movies are even more boring somehow.
Yeah.
Cough, Wonder Woman 84, cough. And this one, not boring. It was up and running. It was kind of like, you watched the first one, you know what this is about, let's go. So it was kind of, I guess, did what I think a sequel to these movies should do, which is just start. I had a good time watching it. I don't think I have much depth of criticism for it, you know?
Yeah. It's that kind of movie, which is, there's a lot of graphics.
Right.
There's a lot of people in it. It's dumb-ish, you know? There's fight scenes. There's harpies.
Centaurs. No.
Cyclops.
Cyclops.
There's unicorns.
Minotaurs.
There's, what else? Yeah, Minotaur.
Philadelphia
What's the other
people.
Dragon.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, way to bury the
gigantic
lead.
dragon that does a lot of dragoning.
Psychosexual fantasies just worked out on screen.
Yeah.
Like what?
Ladies getting tied up with electrical wires.
Oh, you know
What
what?
is this,
Not even
Wonder
that.
Woman?
You know what? You know
Mind
what?
swapping.
A lot of men pushing women to the ground and
Yeah.
like porn stuff. Dude, I was not ready for like that much women getting pushed by men.
What's the kind of hentai where the old ladies are into the young boys? The ara stuff?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
It's something like that.
Keep going.
They got a name for it. But anyways,
Dig this hole. Come on.
old ladies
Tell us what you know about that.
all these old ladies going after young boys. I know, that's all I know is ara.
That's all I know.
But anyways, you know, there's some pervy stuff on screen, which is not overtly pervy stuff. It's like, oh, you couldn't not do this. You just could not have some ladies tied up with some electrical wires. Like that was not in your agenda. You're just so committed to it. That's my kind of perviness. If you set out to make a pervy movie and it's pervy, that's boring. But if you set out to make like a little punch superhero film and there's just like some wild psychosexual undertones to it, it's like, oh yeah, you're working some shit out. That's great. Good job.
I rewatched Pulp Fiction lately, and you
Yeah.
could see that the foot fetish was there from, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're watching it in real time, in real life, you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, it's a good movie. But then, like, it only takes, like, doing, sequential movies from Tarantino. You're like, oh, this guy's really focusing on feet.
Well, those outside of the foot fetish community, I don't think we're dialed in or knew exactly what was going on
I
in
had no idea,
'96.
Yeah.
It's just not didn't really pay much attention. It
But it's all there.
took the internet and the forums and like the spreading of it to be like, oh, that's something that's out there. Okay,
Yeah.
And then you can look back at these movies. It's like, boy, they really lingered on that sole of the foot there, didn't they?
A long
Okay.
ass time.
All right. There's no feet stuff in this movie, but they make up for it in other departments.
No, you're wrong. Shazam takes his boots off
Oh yeah,
and he wiggles his toes. You remember that?
I don't. So.
I had to look away. I was
It was
trying
really
to.
long and uncomfortable.
I was trying to eat my burrito, and
That's
I was like,
right,
"What the fuck?"
when he goes into his cave or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, the layer?
yeah. He's
There's
all
some
wet.
pervy stuff in this. I love that shit, man. That's great. Get fucked up. Put your fucked up fetishes in your movies. It's great. Just make it PG-13. Otherwise, it gets boring.
Yeah.
What was that infinity pool? That was boring. The Virgin Infinity Pool to the Chad
Shazam 2.
Shazam 2. They were able to, get it under the wire, whereas with that movie, it's like, come on, this is boring. We get it. You like to get yelled at by ladies. I don't care. But
But if you want to get punched,
yeah.
or if you want to punch an old lady, I
Yeah,
don't know.
just shove it into your weird franchise.
You can punch gods, I guess is the message, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just have like a light switch scale for these kind of movies. It's like on or off. And this was like kind of entertaining, right?
I don't remember the first one very well, but I think it was fine. It was like a kid movie,
Right.
And it was kind of funny. This one I remember more funny things in.
Yeah.
There's like some genuine parts that are amusing, and there's a cameo.
Right. And a meta commentary on the cameo from the last time. Because if
Yeah.
you remember the last movie, it was what some in the DCEU fan community have dubbed the Cavill cop-out, which is when they show Superman at the end, but they only show him from like the shoulders down because
Yeah.
Superman
Yeah.
comes in and hangs out with the kid. And they just call it Cavill cop-out because they didn't get Cavill. And in this movie, it looked like they were going to do that with Wonder
A couple
Woman.
times, yeah.
But then boom,
Spoilers.
real Gal Gadot
Yeah,
shows
wow,
up.
you just spoiled.
Well,
the
guess
movie.
what? It doesn't matter because nothing in this movie is going to carry over to the next one because
Yeah,
once that
that's
Flashpoint thing
weird.
comes out, they're just nuking everything. So
You don't know that.
I suspect.
they laid
I
it
strongly
out.
suspect
Yeah.
that. So this could be. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves with these spoilers, but not one, but two. What do they call that when you have a vestigial? Two vestigial post-credit scenes that will probably not get carried over to anything
Yeah.
else.
I think you're wrong, man.
Depends on
hope
the reaction, I think.
In my theater, it was like a bunch of kids and a dad that was really into it,
Oh yeah,
and we just cheered. We were like, "Yes!" applauding.
yeah.
It was cool. No, there was a dad that was like legit like into it.
Hell yeah.
Like the wife was just on her phone the whole time.
Oh.
Like the guy more into it than the kid that they brought, like leaning forward, hand tucked on chin, like just like paying attention. He's sitting like right in front of me, and I was like, "This is sick." Anyway, I'm happy she showed up to just do that because I really thought they were doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it helped the
Cop
movie.
out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, made up for the kind of diss that they gave the last one. I felt like they were playing it safe with the first one in terms of like, this is just a pocket thing. If it doesn't work, we're done with it. Whereas this one was like, no, it's all integrated. Look, there's Peacemaker people showing up. There's lore from all these movies. It's buttoned into what they've done with the DC EU so far. And, it's been mostly a drag, those DC movies,
Yeah.
in my estimation at least. But if indeed it is like the last one before the reboot, it is sort of like, look, they can be fun, regular superhero punch movies. It doesn't have to be all super dour and convoluted. Yeah, it's a nice little coda, possibly. I guess we still have Aquaman, and then the Flashpoint thing is going to reboot everything, I
Maybe an
guess.
Aquaman?
I think
Yeah, there's
so.
one more. They're dumping an Aquaman.
Oh my god.
What about Blue Beetle?
Yeah.
Great
when does
question.
Blue Beetle come out?
That poster changed, just saying coming soon.
Yeah.
They used to say like April or something.
Right.
Oh man.
You know, there was a part I really didn't like where they just like kill his teacher.
Oh,
I don't like when they do things like that.
just kill a innocent person.
Yeah.
Well, they killed a
specifically
lot of
walking off of a building. I don't like that.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess there was a lot of destruction and mayhem in this one, which I kind of appreciated because, again, this is all like kind of built into everything. But like the first Superman movie, people were like appalled by how much destruction there was. And then every superhero movie that's come out after that, it'll be like, okay, Avengers, clear every living being out of the city entirely. Then we fight. Okay, clear. There are no people here left. Okay, now we can fight. So there's just been this extra like 30 to 45 seconds of just
clearing out.
Yeah. Or just like you just accept that, an entire people have been evacuated before mayhem starts. Yeah. And then, of course, Batman versus Superman was pretty bad because they were like, where do we take this fight? There's an abandoned island like 5 miles away. All right, we'll fight on the abandoned island and no one will get hurt there on the abandoned island where we're fighting. This movie, I feel, was kind of like a good balance in the middle. It was like, come on, there's fucking mayhem. Like, there's going to be casualties. Deal with it. And it does feel yucky. I'll give you that for sure. I don't think that's a crazy feeling to have.
But I don't like that when... I guess it's like like individuals that you meet,
right?
Like having them die is the guy at the museum was the first one,
right?
And that's messed up. They didn't even have to do that.
They got to have stakes. You got to show some mean things happening. You
need your villains to be villains.
They killed families at that museum.
I know, it was messed up.
I was like, holy shit.
Remind me of Crete. You know what I mean?
They just turned into stone. I don't know if that means they're dead.
Well,
They're
they
dead.
pushed him and he broke, so he is
that
stoned.
guy's dead.
But
yeah,
you can't
but all those
unstone
other
the stoned.
Well, maybe when they die, it turns back. When she died, the ball came down. The dome came down.
True.
Yeah.
If they preserved the bodies, and
then that means when that guy came back out of the stone,
it was like
his life was in pieces.
Yeah, so everyone else comes to life and just sees this heap of gore in front of them after having being panic stricken through being frozen to stone.
Gross.
Look, man, it's not easy being a citizen of the city where Shazam takes place.
Hey,
Philadelphia's seen worse. To be fair,
you know what? I forgot how good the monsters looked from Shazam 1.
Right.
Yeah.
That I was like looking at the Cyclops in daylight because usually these monsters got they put in the dark with like a light blue lighting because it's like the best looking, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like, man, they do a better job in Shazam monsters than they do like those what's that thing called, the flying monsters in Batman v Superman when Batman's dreams, what's that shit called?
Are those called parademons?
Mm-hmm.
Parademons. Yeah, they do a better job those monsters.
I don't even know what the DC EU parademon is modeled off of.
Yeah, it just looks like a bunch of Zoidbergs in like backpacks. And I was like, what is this? Looking at that Cyclops, like, yeah, it looks good. That dragon sometimes looked a little weird, but other than that, still look good.
Yeah, I got no complaints about the effects overall.
Yeah.
Nope. The middle to me felt very Batman, Superman-y, just like generic comic book movie where you're kind of like, oh my God, I've seen this a million times. I was like having like a slight existential crisis. Like, why do I watch these movies? But it's like bookended, which is awesomeness. You know what I mean? Like I thought the beginning was really excellent and the end was even badass. I was like actually on the edge of my seat. You know what I mean? Like when the dragon was ripping things up, and then when all those like hatchlings, like the Cyclops and everything came out, I was like, I'm in. This is great.
Yeah, if I had to pick a word for this film, it would be effective.
Yep.
And if I had to pick a second word,
Oh, give me two.
Sexy.
this one has a hyphen in it.
Okay.
Lighthearted.
Ah.
A lighthearted, effective
Yeah.
superhero romp. That's my critique of this film. It's my summary. All in. I think we'll say Shazam. Are we awarding the powers of Atlas and other gods, I guess, to the boy child, the champion of Earth, or are we coveting those powers to ourselves? I will award them to the boy child. He has proven himself. The boy child has proven himself as a champion, and I'll give it to Shazam. You know, caveat: we'll take the exclamation point and put an asterisk, and then an asterisk underneath it. If you go for this sort of thing, if you go for superhero movies that are very silly and don't take themselves too seriously, and you can actually have a good time on, this is a good time one. It's not a slog, and to me, those are kind of that's the on-off switch I referred to earlier. It's like, is it a good time or is it a slog? And to me, this one's a good time. But I go for these sort of things. So that's me. Justine, what do you think?
I don't remember what you said. Say Shazam. Is that it?
I was gonna say, like, what was a good one? Just Shazam, right?
Well, you're the wizard.
Oh, I like the wizard.
And you're
Jamin
awarding
Hansu,
the
shout out.
powers. You're awarding the powers, or you're not giving the powers. Are you giving the powers to the boy child champion of Earth?
Giving the powers
Okay.
to the pencil.
Boom! Oh yeah, that shit was hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like him.
it's cool.
Yeah, I'll also award the powers to Steven. And I'd like to award the powers to, I guess, Warner Brothers Discovery to keep Shazam alive. When the first one came out, I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch it. I said it's definitely not for me. Going into this movie, I decided to actually watch it, and I liked it. And then I watched the sequel, and I liked it. And it just has a different feel than a lot of other comic book movies. And I think that's good. That's a very good thing. And I'll say this, like coming out of, talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once and what, what's happening with Asian actors and stuff. Lucy Liu, she gets typecast, and that's a good thing. Because, like, she was fucking awesome in this movie as, like, a character she's basically played in a ton of movies. But it's super effective. I think if she wasn't there, might not be as strong, to be honest.
Yeah, I think a round of applause for the actors. They all kind of did a good job. I don't think there's any weak link in this one.
Yep.
Dylan?
Shazam. It's good. I give that kid some powers. Sure, why not? I'll make him make his siblings have powers too. Fuck it. But I had notes.
Oh.
Shazam 2. The Fury of Gods. I'd call my stepmom by her real name too. If she was going to be that fine, I couldn't do that to myself.
Jesus Christ.
And that's it.
Okay.
Entire note.
Wait, what are the awards?
You know what's crazy? I have the same notes.
MILF Awards.
It's
Modi.
a Modi,
Modi,
for
that's
God's
it.
sake.
MILF of the
Jesus.
year. That's my image.
Yeah, it's
All
an
right.
acronym and an acronym.
The nominees are.
Moving on is the next movie we're talking about. It's Moving On. This is directed by Paul Weitz. You know what other movies Paul Weitz has done?
I have no idea.
American fucking Pie.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
You're lying.
And Little Fockers, which gives me an opportunity
Yes.
to bring up my funniest joke I've ever said in my entire life.
Okay.
This is my dream band. They're called Little Fuckers.
Oh.
And the title of the demo is Meet the Fuckers. And it makes me laugh every time. And I don't think I'll ever have another opportunity to talk about Little Fuckers, Meet the Fuckers, the imaginary band that lives in my head outside of this film that's directed by the guy that directed Little Fockers. Dylan has a Little Fockers
Oh,
story
God damn it.
too, but he could share it or not.
I have an aunt from the Philippines, so Filipino accent. When that movie was coming out, she's like, I swear this happened. She was like, I want to watch that movie, Little Fuckers. The Little Fuckers. This is my family. That side of my family like does not curse at all. But like it was so hard for them to try and say that name. At least for her, she couldn't say Fockers. I want to watch Meet the Fuckers.
Joe Coy, missed opportunity for you,
Yeah,
bro.
honestly, should have put those in.
Should put that in a movie.
Anyway, this is a much smaller scale venture starring two great actresses who we've seen earlier in the year in 80 for Brady. It says this is their spinoff. This is their Hobbs and Shaw from the 80 for Brady franchise. This is Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda doing what they do best: act in a movie.
Truly.
Saying words.
You see, yes. And this is, I guess you would call it a black comedy. It is very dark in nature in terms of this opens, and if this doesn't hook you, nothing in the movie will. It opens with the lady. She's kind of like packing for a trip. Jane Fonda is the lady. She's packing up for a trip. She's like leaving her dog with her daughter. She's like, hey, here's how you take care of the dog, blah, blah, blah. She's got some shitty grandkids. It's funny. And then she goes on the trip to a funeral, right? She has a funeral for her friend that passed. That's sort of the main centerpiece of the film is this lady died. And she goes to the funeral, and she meets the husband of the woman who died, who was a friend of hers. And she's like, I'm going to kill you this weekend. And he's like, haha. He's like, no. I'm going to fucking kill you this weekend.
Mention who the actor is.
Who's the actor?
Malcolm McDowell.
Boom, baby.
There you go.
And like that, I'm hooked. Yeah, you just have a good premise like that. And it's like, we're off to the races. Lily Tomlin shows up. She's her friend from back in the day as well. They were like a trio of sorts, and the guy Malcolm McDowell, it's heavily implied that he sexually abused. He had a horrific incident with Jane Fonda, and she's just like, I'm going to kill him for it.
Yeah, all these years she didn't kill him out of respect for Valerie, the wife of the Malcolm McDowell character.
Her friend that died.
But now that she's dead, she's like, fuck it, I'm going to kill this guy. And Lily Tomlin's like, you got like a life ahead of you. You could. They're just kind of going over the pros and cons of it, and at some point, Lily Tomlin, who's super curmudgeon, is just like, fuck it, I'll go along with it. She's like,
also, Lily Tomlin also said in front of the entire wake that she used to fuck Malcolm McDowell's wife and was in love with her. So, there you go.
They had this relationship, so she's attached to the friend too, and so she hates the husband for that reason. And yeah, this is a fun, small movie. People always complain like, oh, they don't make like just simple movies anymore. Everything's a big franchise. Everything, like, if this new paradigm of our life has taught us anything, they make a lot of movies like this.
Yeah, you're just not aware of them.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
all.
Because I mean, obviously, there's no advertising or anything. But if you just look at a movie you haven't seen advertised anywhere at all, it's probably one of these kind of movies. Just a little small story about some people going about their lives, and I found it pretty enjoyable. Doesn't leave the biggest impact. It's not going to be a life-changing film or anything, but just fun to see some people you know and are familiar with on screen getting into some hijinks, man. Classic model hijinks, frankly.
Yeah, it's like absurd.
Mm-hmm.
People are smart in it and funny, and they play their characters well. Lily Tomlin specifically.
Yeah.
She's hilarious. And they both look amazing.
Yeah, just like cool clothes and everything. Jewelry, all that.
Yeah, they're all like, they fit their characters really well, but those two, I don't want to say for their age, they just look really good.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to be a Fonda, but I'm a Tomlin.
When we were watching it, I knew that like as soon as I logged a review of it, like on Letterboxd, whatever, I knew that somebody would be like, "It's too woke," because there was like 30 seconds where a little kid tries on Lily Tomlin's earrings. So that was sadly predictable to see. The movie itself, yeah, I dug it. Of course, we're big fans of the actors in it. I did like that they brought back Richard Roundtree as well, who played like an ex-husband of Jane Fonda.
That's right. That's right.
And it was like an early interracial relationship, and Roundtree's character went on to have a beautiful family, but he lost his wife, and that's how they kind of reconnected over the funeral. I don't know, yeah, like a lot of dark humor, like you mentioned. Good use of flare gun. That was a funny bit. Good funny bit about bacon. The guy is like, I'll give you my gun if you bring me bacon.
He was the best actor in the movie.
He was great. Yeah. He had a funny little attitude. Yeah, dug it.
Honestly, man, you guys know me. You guys have been listening to this podcast. I went in high hopes. Came out. What's the best word I can use? I came in with high hopes. Came out satisfied.
Boom.
That is right. I was happy. I wasn't expecting a fucking dark comedy like this.
Super dark.
Yeah. I expected like an 80 for Brady, just like fucking off the wall nonsense.
Let's go on a road trip.
Yeah, exactly. And like just like hijinks.
We got to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Something. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what the fuck moving on. Like, I guess the phrase moving on, something happened. But
I thought it was gonna be about the death.
Yeah,
but it was not that.
Yeah, it's like, no, fuck that. Let's kill this guy. Yeah, I was happy. I was like, God damn, it was great.
And yeah, Jane Fonda and her ex kind of like rekindle their relationship, and so that's kind of part of the thing. Like, it's an idea of revenge. Like, you want to kill this guy and jeopardize this new thing you have going on, and I appreciate it because it's sort of ultimately a lament about the nature of. There's this expression. It's like if you're angry at someone, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right? Like your anger and your ill will towards someone is really harmful to you. But none of that is really like resolved in any kind of saccharine way. I think it's more true to life where it's like, no, some people are fucking assholes and you just want them to die. And like, especially in such an extreme case as this, you totally understand kind of all parties involved. Like, yeah, this seems like a sensible thing to do is to kill this fucker of a, what do they call a male widow?
Widower.
Widower. Mr. Widow. You want Mr. Widow to get fucking murked, and but you also don't want Jane Fonda to go to jail, and it's also you relate to the character because she's not fucking John Wick over here like piano wiring him in stealth. She's like, I don't know how to get a gun. I never had a gun. I don't know what weapon to get or use. So it's like, yeah, what do you do in this position if you've lived a regular life and all of a sudden, particularly at that age, you're like, I gotta kill someone for the first time in my life. Like, that's just a fun premise. But I won't say it's perfect. I think, and this is my estimation, I think writer-director Paul Weitz, I think he kind of, I'm not going to say overwrote the dialogue, but definitely kind of pushed the actors to use the dialogue that he wrote, and it kind of comes off as stiff. And I was wondering, it's like, oh, is this like his first movie or something? And it's like he's not comfortable telling these legendary actors who he's surrounded with to like, hey, no, do it again and do it like this. But he's done a bunch of movies and stuff, so he should be comfortable doing that. I really think it's just that the dialogue he wrote isn't really natural to the actresses for the most part. Yeah. So it kind of comes off as stiff. And sounds so silly to talk about 80 for Brady as a comparison, but it just literally came out like a month ago. That movie didn't seem stiff at all. And it has these two people in it. Yeah. And I almost feel like maybe that movie had more of an improvisational approach, whereas this one was maybe like stick to the script, and thus it's a little bit rigid. That would be my. It
could also be men writing for women, because like the male characters in this film, I felt that their delivery and their lines were fine. Yeah, but when it came to Fonda and Tomlin, you're right. It felt a little stiff. You're like, you're not letting them fly.
Right. Yeah. So that would be like a critique, but overall, it's fun. And again, I hear so many complaints of like, they don't make movies like this, and it's like they make them. They make out a ton. Yeah, go watch them.
See for reference our podcast. Yeah. One thing I guess you touched upon, but I'll explicitly state it. I think one of the messages of the movie is that no matter how far away or how far in life you are, there is still considerations that have to be made for how you want to spend the rest of your life. Right, so it's like, you could. Yeah, you're like, I'm kind of near the end. I should murder this motherfucker. But it's like, but I also have Richard Roundtree that I could spend the rest of my days with. And that would be rather nice because he lives in a nice home and great cook.
This is an insanely nice home. Jesus.
Yeah. They're all rich.
All the interiors are great in this movie. I didn't think about that.
The set design, definitely like they took their job very seriously. It's great.
So moving on. Is it a wake or a funeral? To me, this is a wake. This is a good time. Recommend the film. Generally speaking, good movie, fun time.
The wake is like better because it's like social and stuff.
Yeah, it's like a party. Funeral is like a bummer. Okay. A wake is probably a bummer too, but theoretically,
I guess it depends on. Anyway, I don't think I've ever been to a wake. I'll go to a wake.
All right.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed the movie. I like dark comedies where it's a scenario you can understand, but you would never think of anyone actually being in. So I like that. And there's like sweet parts too, where especially again with these seniors in these movies, it's like they have a different perspective on life, and you see it, and you kind of, you take a step back.
I'll say it. Cute.
Yeah.
Very cute. Yeah, it's adorable and charming.
Yeah, they are charming.
Senior cinema fan over here. I'm obviously way in on this.
Go to the wake.
Yeah.
But I will go to the funeral of a guy that did me wrong to take a photo next to.
Make sure you get the correct.
That was hard. Man, this is so inappropriate. Cheese.
Very, very satisfying. This is a textbook case of sticking the landing. They really stuck the landing on this one. The ending is satisfying. It all works out. Well written script. Again, my gripes with the dialogue to actor translation aside, like the plot moving along, boom, 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 real tight.
Yeah,
great film. Next, we're going inside the actor's studio with Willem Dafoe. It's directed by Vasilis Katsoupis. That's probably not how you say his name.
Vasily?
Vasily. Well, Vasily, okay. Katsoupis. Sure. I don't know. I'm spelling it. I'm saying it phonetically. Anyways, this is I was kind of spoiled just reading like the description of the film. Because just on the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is just Willem Dafoe going crazy in a place. This is great." But then you see the synopsis, so this isn't a spoiler. It's just this is a synopsis of the movie. Is Willem Dafoe is an art thief, and he's breaking into a guy's apartment who has all this art that Willem Dafoe wants to thief, and he gets trapped inside because the alarm system is just like that's how it works. It goes boom. Traps you in, right? And so Willem Dafoe is now inside this place, which doesn't sound like a bad thing, being stuck in a New York City penthouse. But watch this film if you think that, my friend, and see what goes on. I didn't know about the burglary thing until I read the synopsis, and I was like, oh, okay. So it actually has a plot, and it does. And but still, if you were looking forward, based on the trailer, to just watching Willem Dafoe freak out for like 90 minutes, never you worry your pretty little head, child, because you get to see this guy get run through the ringer. I like this movie, but I feel like this is a Justine movie big time.
It really is. I really liked it a lot. From like the opening, it's just Willem Dafoe doing a voiceover talking about like when I was in school.
Yeah, AC/DC. Hey.
Yeah, I like AC/DC,
Music fades.
Cats.
I like how he delineates music and art.
Yeah, music doesn't. Never mind.
Well, I
Do
mean,
you, Willem?
He's an artist and a art thief, so that's a whole different world to him. But everything in it is beautiful. There's actual art in it. He's making art. He makes weirdo art. Even things like they show like leaves in a puddle of water. Looks like a photo or something. The place he's stuck in, the main thing, is that the place he's stuck in is the fanciest, coolest place you could possibly be stuck.
This is interior decorator porn.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks really good. And it's just him by himself going crazy for, 105 minutes or whatever it is. And one of my favorite things about the movie is, like, I usually get a little, what time is it? How much longer is this? And there's no point where you can do that because you have no idea when he's going to get out or what he's going to do next or anything. There's no like story you can follow.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how there's no way to really structure like acts around guy is stuck in a place. He's trying to get out of the place. Yeah. And I kind of sick to death of these movies where it's like, I'm in the desert. I'm in the middle of the ocean. I'm on top of a tower. What was that movie called? The Fall. I'm on top of the tower and I don't want to fall. You're used to people in perilous situations. This is someone stuck, same basic idea of a story, but in absolute complete luxury.
Yeah.
Over the top, like insane, a kind of wealth and luxury that you'll never experience.
Yeah. Except it keeps deteriorating, and that's the cool thing to see, like everything just kind of falling apart, including him. It's really good. And he's great. He's funny and he's scary. He's such a good actor, and he's the perfect person for this movie. I couldn't have imagined it with anybody else, honestly.
One thing that Colin and I had like a different way of seeing the movie because we felt it was telling us a different story than what it actually was. Like for some reason we felt that this was like a trap movie in terms of like the art being Willem Dafoe's suffering. But the resolution is a bit different than that.
I was treating this like I don't know, like The Menu or something from last year, where it's like, oh, this is like a decoy house. Like they sent him in to burglarize the decoy house that has all the fake replicas of art, and they're just filming him on the inside dying, and that's going to be the installation piece. Is like guy dying in a
art thief,
like some quasi snuff film thing. That is a much dumber movie that I cannot stress enough never happens. I don't know. This is the problem of watching movies and like trying to get ahead of it. It's always a terrible idea. You should always just see what's on screen and take it in. But I guess because there's so much space in the film in terms of like what's going on, because you're kind of slowly watching a guy die in a room, essentially. That your mind kind of wanders, and in my mind I have this whole fucking network of eyes wide shut oligarchs watching.
Well, because to be fair, so many stories we've seen are that. It's just like, hey, the rich are crazy and evil, and they're gonna like other people's suffering is their enjoyment. So that you kind of maybe they're playing on that in a way, because the fact that both of us thought that, there might be something to it. I don't know if it's like something wrong with both of us.
Again, that is a much dumber film than we saw.
Yeah, of course, way dumber. But yeah. And then I don't know. I feel like if somebody's trying to figure out what it is, I would say, like you could reference The Shining, because it's like a very opulent place where somebody's going crazy,
and it's a lot of time.
Yeah,
it's not like you have 20 minutes till the air runs out.
How much time do you think went by? Because there were seasons that went by.
Yeah,
months.
A year.
No.
I'm just guessing.
I don't know. Could be.
Guessing, bro?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I'm
It's a
sure you
long
could
time.
watch it carefully and figure it out because they have like it shows how long they're on vacation for or something. But yeah, it is months plural.
I think also if you like that movie Castaway, this is probably more entertaining and less cute because there's a lot of things in this that are challenging to watch, especially certain scenes in succession. It's a lot, to process visually for sure.
I'd say it's transgressive without being like edgy or like just being pure gross out. I mean, there's kind of there's enough gross stuff in it to like get a reaction, but it's also as attached directly to the story, so it's not like gratuitous or self-indulgent or just there to fuck with you. It's all pretty significant.
It made me wonder, like, what is Willem Dafoe's body? You know what I mean? Like, there's certain angles, and like, there's like, even like just his physiology. I'm like, what? I don't know if there's just like exaggerations or if he lost weight in certain.
Right.
If there's like a method thing, I don't know.
He'll transform himself for roles. I remember this one movie I was watching. He like took on the persona of a goblin, like a green goblin. I mean, the powers of flight.
Is that the prequel to this?
I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, but I mean, he'll take on these roles that just really transform him from the inside out. I mean, like it'll like a metallic armor covering.
That's
him.
what I was getting from the voiceover. I was, I was very goblin-esque.
You know what's fucked up?
Go on.
Like you two, I had a whole different thing going in this movie.
Right.
I thought so. Two things, and it relates to both. The first thing when I thought what I was walking into was a movie about a guy goes into a safe house and then he's locked, thinking like the world's exploding or something.
Right.
Oh, okay.
In my head,
oh,
it's
because the fireworks.
yeah,
In the preview. Okay.
and the trailers and all that shit. In my head, it's like then he sees the TV and there's like a lady. He's like, "What the fuck? I'm stuck here."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit!" So he's just stuck, and they spoiled the movie for me, I guess. He's not actually trapped in a fake doomsday house. He's,
Right.
Yeah, I didn't watch anything. Dang.
But I try to clear that out. Second thing, I was like, what if this is like a movie where this is like what it's like to be Norman Osborn, like stuck when Green Goblin's out, and this is like what his mind looks like.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's what I like to think.
Hey, question for everybody. Do you remember the first time you saw Willem Dafoe? Like what movie it might have been?
Oh, yeah, Platoon.
Platoon? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. He just feels like a face that's always been there for me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my new favorite Willem Dafoe movie, which I've only seen recently, Streets of Fire.
That was the first time I saw him.
10 out of 10
Yep.
movie.
Yeah. He
Madman.
fights with like those sledgehammers. Oh my god, Michael Pere is that? Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw him.
I didn't see that movie till like 2-3 years ago or something. Maybe, and like, man, what a amazing film that is. I can't recommend Streets of Fire enough.
I saw it very young,
Yeah.
and
It's when I should have seen it.
I immediately went and bought the record because
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be in this world.
Right. God, yeah. I've seen the cover of that movie so many times, and then actually seen the movie. Delightful.
Dylan, do you know the first time you saw Willem
Yeah,
Dafoe?
listeners, I'm like 80 years younger than everyone else. First time I've ever seen him, Spider-Man.
Respect.
That's the only one I remember. I know.
It's probably true for a lot of people.
I know.
actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Seen him. I've seen him in that Jesus movie where he plays Jesus or something.
Oh,
But I don't know if I saw that pre or post Spider-Man 1.
I'll
What's that
cop
movie
to,
called?
God damn it. It's gonna
You guys ever see that other movie where he's like, I think a hunter? That's it.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I saw that.
You son of a bitch.
I saw that in theaters when it came out. Like I saw it in like the Ken.
Respect.
It was like an art house
Wow.
movie. That's why. And I watched it because of him.
Oh, I
was
did
like,
see that.
Oh yeah, Green
yeah.
Goblin.
I saw it. Yeah.
I watched it thinking it'd be like a cool little action movie.
No.
Just a,
Me and you, bear.
just a weirdo movie where he's like hunting wolves or something.
Yeah.
Oh, The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what that one was.
See,
Hey,
I don't
I'm
know if I
I'm
saw that
satisfied.
before or after. It must have been after.
He was in American Psycho.
Yeah, that's true. But I didn't see that till way later in life. Let's see, edgy teen years.
Right. I'll admit that I confuse him with Klaus Kinski sometimes.
Uh-huh.
The singer?
No, that's Klaus Nomi, fool.
Director.
Oh. I was like, how? I guess.
Hey, I don't know. He could wear makeup.
Klaus Kinski's a very angular face man.
Dylan Nicolas Cage refers to himself as the American Klaus Kinski.
Hmm.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, which is just him S in his own D.
Nicolas Cage was in a movie with Pedro Pascal, who did an Inside the Actors Studio interview of Willem Dafoe.
There we go.
Oh.
I know what I'm
Boom,
doing.
baby.
Damn degrees.
Yeah.
Meet the fuckers.
Little fuckers.
I like in this movie too, where you're like, why would he do that? I would have done this. I would have done that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that goes on too. Like there's things where you're like, oh, you dummy.
Did you say it out loud though during the film?
No.
I don't know. You had a different plan of attack? I could not. I wouldn't know. I just die. I just sleep and die.
Well, just like in terms of resources, I
Yeah.
guess. Like he was going too hard on the food, and then like the very first thing they show him doing is eating all this salty stuff when he doesn't
Right.
even have any water.
That's why I thought it was a trap house, because a
Oh.
house in
Salt 'em
which
out.
one would trap
Mhm.
someone because it was all salty. But then there's other things that he uses to counter the salt, where it's like, okay, this is,
Yeah. And it made me so mad when he finds that weird little art installation inside of a room that you
Right.
can't get to, because it's like, I would have gone through literally every
Oh, yeah,
inch
yeah.
of this place.
I had that thought too. I was like, because seasons went by and you're like, wait, you didn't check out that closet?
Yeah,
thing
you
yet?
didn't put on other clothes. There's
Right.
not a hammer in this house or a ladder. And I was like, well, maybe he's so rich
you hire
that he doesn't
installers.
even
The help
he
did.
doesn't do anything for
Yeah.
himself. That's where my mind wandered to, because you can like kind of wander in this watching all this stuff happen. But yeah, I was like in speculative survival mode.
It's weird because he's such like a crafty character, but then there's things that are in the house that you're like, you would have discovered that within the first week. Like for instance, the let's call it the sanitation. He could have in those toilets, if you just open the back panel, there's a little thing you pull that releases everything down. And once he figured out how to harvest water, he could have poured a little bit in that every day. You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't have had to go into the very extreme measures of evacuating his body in the film. Yeah, there's little things like that for sure, but I don't think it takes away from the validity or the strength of the movie.
Yeah.
If you're going insane, you know what I mean? So you might overlook some stuff, I guess.
Did you also think that like he should have just saved that meat
Oh
that he
yeah.
was eating that he just found?
Yeah.
Because he went really hard once he found it.
Yeah. Everything he like opened or whatever,
He
he just
devoured.
ate it all.
I
Yeah.
think you have to kind of give some concession in terms of like realism or whatever to like how fatigued the brain and body would be with like the heat, the cold, the
Yeah.
deprivation, the just general stir craziness of it all. Like it's kind of a, like when you climb really high on a mountain, Mount Everest, some shit like that, where it's like you can't remember if you put your shoe on or took it off. Like your brain just isn't functioning at what it would be fresh. So I think any misgivings I have about, well, why wouldn't he do this? You misallocated that. It's just like, yeah, he's not fully there. And the movie does a lot of attention to just how worn down he is as a human being for being in this situation.
I do wonder if they, like when you put together a script, like you'll do like a map, like say, hey, this is what's happening. Here's what we need to portray on screen to make it believable. I didn't feel like there was a lot of food in the building
Yeah,
itself.
again, the guy's super rich. He probably doesn't eat at
and
home.
he's on vacation. So
That too,
So
yeah.
for this to go seasons,
Especially if he was going to be gone for a really long time, you wouldn't, have stuff.
I'm clocking it at like 2 months.
I felt like it was
No,
longer
it's
because I
longer
felt
than
it was
that.
3
Longer than that?
seasons. Yeah.
it was a little long.
It was 3 seasons.
It went from sunny to snowy.
Yeah.
Then you get
And
out.
then spring.
Well, either way, yeah, there was talking about the same thing, which is limited resources here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about how long the body can go without
Right,
food.
right.
But I was just, but it did occur to me while I was watching. I was like, he's out of food.
Yeah, hence he starts getting creative about what he's eating and what he'll put into his body.
He did eat that fish.
Yeah, ate 2 fish.
You know what's funny?
All the fish.
When I mentioned, did you say that out loud? I wasn't making fun of you. There was a lady out at my theater that every time something happened, she questioned and like said it loudly, like, "What's happening? What is he doing?" And then when like the fish eating or the when he was fishing out the fish and eating it, and when he hurts his leg, she's like, "Ew, ew."
I'm convinced that lady was at my screening of Tar, and I wanted to shoot her with a flare gun.
Yeah, I was like, you're witnessing what we're all witnessing. Don't ask your husband like what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like we all don't know what's happening. He's just like eating fish and whatever. It's just-
Particularly funny with this film because what is there to work? Like, why is he moving a table
So clear
to go further up?
why is he shitting in that pool? Like,
Because he has to shit.
It's like that. It was like, God damn it.
Quick question. Our favorite lady from Triangle of Sadness, how long do you think she could have gone? Longer, probably?
That's a good question. Yeah, the true survival expert. I could see her just waiting it out,
Yeah.
chilling in the cut.
Like the
'Cause
door would open.
Here's the other thing: if you just last a long time and then like you wait for the door to open, you can they can come in and you just sneak out. And that would be the least satisfying movie to ever watch.
Yeah. Can we talk about too, like the credits?
Oh, just how screwy do your thing, man.
Okay, effectively, like the credits themselves, there's it's not that they are disorienting, but like they change format a little bit. There's logos in weird parts. There's sometimes too many logos, but then Willem Dafoe just kind of comes back, and he starts groaning at you and talking, and he's out of it, and the film closes, like the actual lights up, curtain closes. It's him just groaning, which is a nice touch. It's a little something extra for
The most Willem Dafoe way to end a movie.
yeah,
little pepper a Willem at the end.
for sure.
Colin lied to me. Told me that there was an after credit scene.
Good.
There
It's a little.
is.
In your mind, there is.
Well, Colin was like, "No, he sings a song at you."
He
And-
does.
He does
Yeah,
sing
but
a
he
song.
made it sound like he was on screen.
Oh.
I even showed my friends like, I think he's like, I can't tell if he's fucking with me, and he's reading the text. He was like, I don't know Colin that well, so I wouldn't know if he's fucking with you.
He sings a little song at you.
Yeah, but we thought he was on screen. Like there was something on screen.
I
Like,
stand by the fact that he sings a little song at you. Objectively, he sings a little song at you.
I need to start messing with Dylan more when I see a movie before him. I don't do that enough.
Oh yeah, it does have like an ambiguous ending too, like
Yeah.
Triangle of Sadness.
Yes, it does.
True.
Kind of.
So are we in on Inside or are we out? Obviously, we're in. This is one of the better movies I've seen this year. Probably top 3 that I can think of. I see this one sticking with me for a while. I mean, listen, I like a popcorn film. I like a simple movie to watch. It kind of comes and goes. But this is one that has legs. It'll have legs in your noggin. I think that was the tagline of the film. Inside, it's got legs in your noggin. You'll be thinking about this one for a while. It'll stick with you. It's a really well done film, I think, without being super, pretentious or anything. It's just has some substance to it. Has some meat on them bones. Really liked it.
Not on Willem Dafoe's bones.
Not at all.
I'll go inside. I mean, I'll stay inside. I'll go to Heaven on a Hillside. Yeah, I agree that this is one of my top movies so far. And I was thinking while we were watching it, I was like, this is great. I don't know where else you would be watching this movie. Like in what other scenario I would be watching this movie.
Right.
But I would want to watch this movie. I just couldn't imagine seeing it like in a normal theater or at home, really.
We were
Wherever you
very
can
much-
watch this
We
movie.
were very much so in a normal theater.
I know, but I'm saying I wouldn't imagine that I would be
Right.
seeing it in a normal theater. And I don't know how long it's playing for or whatever. I've heard literally nothing about it outside of, the app or whatever. But whatever way you can watch it, I think is appropriate. It's good enough to be seen anywhere. I was like, I'm so glad I get to see this in the theater.
Yeah,
right
it's like
now.
if you watched this movie for the first time 20 years from now, you wouldn't be guessing that while you were in the theater watching it, you would overhear the sound of Shazam,
Yeah.
Fury of the Gods, coming in from the theater next to it. It's like definitely feels like a more Galaxy Brain movie than the context it's being presented in. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
When the heat turns up, I'm calmly walking back to the master bedroom. I'm going to that closet. I'm going into the gallery. Within the gallery, I'm taking a beanbag with me. And I'm just very orderly taking books off the shelf that I'd like to read. Maybe sit by the green light, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to go through the books until I'm done reading the books or I die. And I'm going to be a lot more calm about it, you know, because I feel like the gallery within the apartment or loft, penthouse, I feel like it's a lot cooler place than the rest of the space. Because like if you've got, here's another thing. Email us with the proper pronunciation of Egon Schiele, because when I was taking art classes in college, it was Schiele. In this movie, it was Sheely when Willem Dafoe said it, and it was Sheele when somebody else said it. Let us know.
All you art historians,
yeah,
all
all of you highbrow art historians, let us know how to really pronounce Egon Schiele is what I'll say. Anyway, I found it wild that this art collector had a system in place of extreme temperatures, because that's not good for original art, but whatever. But I would assume that the gallery from the gallery where you had like the self-portrait, he wouldn't have crazy climate fluctuations. So maybe I'd go hang out in there, read a bunch of books, wait it out. But either way, yeah, great film. Pretty awesome. If it's still playing when you hear this, go see it.
Do you think that was the self-portrait or the picture with
all the cum?
Yeah, all the orgies happening and his face was in the middle of it.
Oh no, I was talking about the Egon Schiele self-portrait. Yeah. Like one of the masters.
I'd stay inside and I could have gotten out of there, dude.
Yeah.
I would have just broken that window.
He didn't try hard enough.
Yeah, he threw a rock at it. Or
Yeah.
a rotten orange.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like
Such a fool ass take.
ceramic.
I could have gotten out of
No, he
there.
could have.
I'm a little more muscular than Willem Dafoe, to be fair.
This is
And
true.
younger. Spry.
Spry.
Right. I like you're
Spry.
you're just gonna Hulk out.
Yeah, I'll Hulk out. Fuck it, I'm stuck.
Also, if you've got masterpieces in your penthouse, wouldn't you have like security cameras inside it that you're watching on your phone?
See, I thought that's why it was also an art installation of watching
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe go insane.
He's being filmed.
Yeah.
I have never seen a smoke detector like the one that they had in
that
there.
was a little fishy.
That's
Yeah, I
why
thought that was a camera.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah, this
looks
movie sucks.
Like a camera.
I take it back.
Take it all back.
No.
Now, to the film's credit, it immerses you enough where you can look past a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, because it's not the point. It's not like
Yeah.
how would you get out? It's just like
This is a guy.
Yeah.
This is what he's doing.
yeah, and like this guy's a crazy kook,
Yeah.
kooky man. Speaking of kooks, me and Dylan have been seeing some kooky bullshit.
Hey.
Nah, it was some cool bullshit.
We're leading with Southern Gospel. This is the second
Why?
This is the second church origin story movie I've seen this month. I swear I'm being bamboozled on this film. But I feel bamboozled because, Dylan, what was the name of the church in this movie that they said that the guy starts at the end? I know I'm getting ahead of myself here.
This is
I don't
another
remember.
movie where a guy starts a church?
Dream Church?
Dream Church, right?
Fuck off.
Google fucking Dream Church right now. I dare you. There's no information about this. And I look at the director name, Jeffrey A. Smith, and his information on IMDb is like, oh, this guy was signed on Myrrh Records. Ironically, because that is also a centerpiece of the Jesus Revolution. So I'm like, this is a guy who was signed on a label that was connected to the music that was started in this last movie, and it's also a church origin story movie. But despite his, on IMDb only, 750 song title listings, granted, his name's Jeffrey A. Smith. So anyway, you slice up Jeff Smith, it's a super common name. But I'm like on Discogs trying to find something about, and he's worked with people like Pointer Sisters, people like that. And it's like, okay, so it should be easy to find. But there's nothing. There's no information about the guy correlating to music. So either I'm not, granted, I'm not like, really cracking the code on this or going deep. But you'd think if something's mentioned that prominently is their sole writing, directing credit, like, hey, yeah, this guy's a writer, director. But man, is he involved in music? That the music thing would be a real short Google away. And you'd think at the end of the movie when they're like, this guy started the so-and-so church, that it would be like top 10 searches. You say Southern Gospel, Dream Church, let's go. And it would be right there. well, the last time we were talking about movies, I was like, oh yeah, this guy played bass in Link 80.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who did Scream 6. There's a Scream 6 Link 80 connection. Because it's right there on his wiki, and you click it, and then you look it up on Discogs to double check it, and it's like, yep, that's his name listed.
But nothing for this dude.
I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not like putting my, extreme credibility on the line. I'm saying 10 minutes of Googling and it's not showing up. And the only listing of him having these credits is in his own IMDb profile. And the only thing about this church is at the end of the movie when they say, yeah, he started the Dream Church. With the Jesus Revolution, it was like Calvary Chapel. Oh, yeah, it's a local church. Look it up. Oh, and you can find some crazy stuff going on. So I was like, oh, I want to find some crazy stuff on the Dream Church. Oh, there isn't really a Dream Church. Dream City Church? I'm just talking like top 10 Google listings, real short click stuff. Granted, Jeff Smith, Dream Church, these are all difficult things to search, so I'm not ruling it out of possibilities. That's where I say I feel bamboozled, because I don't know what truth this movie is telling.
Is it real? I mean, like, does it have like
I don't know anything anymore.
At the end, there's words that say stuff like, and then he went on to do this and that, and it's a big deal.
So it could have been like at the end of Beautiful Blue Eyes, where they just kind of
just say theoretically,
where they're just like, and then it was really the Nazi.
It could have also been the end of Revenge of the Nerds, where they're like, Booger goes on to
Except I know. So okay, it's a
so that's total fiction,
which would be fine,
but it wasn't presented that way.
Well, it's just odd when you just watched the Jesus Revolution, which was 1-to-1, other than the lies that they told.
Other than the whole thing being a lie. Yeah.
But that was like presented as this is the story of this event, which led to the founding of this church, and then it gives you the real at the end. I don't know. Okay, so then let's look at this movie as just a total work of fiction. Okay. It's a fucking wild ride because it's like pitched in the trailer. I like Jesus movies. I don't know. They are ridiculous. They're silly. They're fun. It's like MST 3K shit. We watched this in a theater completely by ourselves, which I know sounds crazy. So like, you could just fucking, it was just Tom Servo's hanging out with us and we're just busting balls on this movie. It's a good time. And this trailer presented it as like, there's a rock and roll guy. He turns his life around and he's trying to join the church and he faces opposition to it. And that's the movie. The reality of the plot is that this is a fucking kooky movie. He's the son of a preacher guy. He has some kill counts under his belt, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fastly racks up a body count.
Yeah.
Transitions into being a rock and roller. The whole rock and roll lifestyle segment is maybe 2 minutes of film, including his band performing on stage. So you see like the tail end of a song. You see them in the car driving. The drummer drops his cigarette that he's smoking, or maybe it's a joint, drops his joint that he's smoking while in the car ride.
And he's sleeping, and he's drunk. They show him, like, chugging vodka while driving.
The driver?
Because the bass player is dumping the vodka in his mouth as he's driving.
One cigarette drops, and within 3 seconds, the entire interior of the car is in flames.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Well, I guess they're spilling vodka all over the place.
Yeah, so they're completely engulfed in flame, hit a tree, driver in flames, dies. The passenger,
the bass player,
who plays bass in the band, who's also a childhood friend of the preacher kid, ejected out of the windshield while on fire.
Face first.
Was it cool looking?
Fuck yeah, it was cool looking.
It was actually really good looking.
Did you just hear the words that came out of my mouth? Of course it was fucking cool.
Yeah, it was like Final Destination, but only one person died out of 3.
So the rock and roll guy, which again we are about 2 minutes total of rock and roll guy lifestyle, is cut to him getting like rescued or whatever.
Also, no injuries.
No, he's fine.
No like visible injuries. He's like not cut up. Not like he broke his leg. He just walks out of the car like, oh, that sucked, and then lays down.
I will say, I was in a rock band accident where we rolled down like a hill and hit a tree, and only one guy was injured. The rest of us walked out. It was
But
really
the
Well,
car
hey.
wasn't on fire.
And it was 1969. So
okay.
And he was laying down. He was laying down in the back seat.
and so he gets carted away, and they're like, "We're gonna put you in jail, boy, for being a rock and roller because we found drugs in your car that blew up."
Oh, the car exploded.
Of course
Yes.
it did.
Yeah, the car was on fire and he passes out.
And then it blows up.
Yeah.
And then they arrest him.
He was in the car when it exploded?
No, he was out. Just
Yeah,
the guy
okay.
driving.
yeah, guy driving is gone.
Yeah, he was
Got it,
dead
okay.
since he crashed.
Yeah.
Bass player that got ejected from the car, burnt up arm. Sucks for him.
Yeah.
And the singer, the preacher kid, walks out
Yeah, fine.
and just passes out on the ground.
Goes to jail.
Yes.
In jail, they give him a haircut. A perfectly nice Adam Levine from Maroon 5 style
no
haircut.
shit.
Yeah, like
Okay.
a good lineup, dude. It's
All
fucked
right,
up.
all right, all right.
Gave you a haircut, boy, because we don't like that long hair around here.
Why, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. and
Thanks,
then-
I look great.
Yeah, we assumed you liked this little pompadour, so we gave it to you. Which he had before he grew the hair out. He had like a pompadour.
That's it. I should mention his name is where do I got
Andrew
it?
Garfield.
It looks a lot like Andrew Garfield. His
Okay.
name Max Eric. He's in like some TV stuff. He dated Demi Lovato for a while, so he's
Yeah.
a good guy. He has now a beautiful haircut, and he's in jail. And they're like, we have all these drugs, but we're going to let you out if you do community service, which is to say that you're going to talk to people about your life as a hardened drug user,
Scared straight.
rock star guy. And he's like, all right, I'll do that shit. And so now he's preaching, and like, because he's the son of a preacher, he has the gift, right? And so immediately they're like, we like you, you're the preacher guy. And but this doesn't sit well with, God, this is complicated, the son of the owner of the church that his father preaches at. Again, the
Okay, I'm with
owner
you.
of the church has a son. That son does not like that the preacher's son is a good preacher and does not want him to take over the church. His dad is retiring coincidentally on the same day that the preacher's son gives a sermon, and they want him to take over his father's place. And he's like, fuck yeah. But the enemy of the story is the
Owners.
owner of the church's son. And the reason why they're butting heads, in part, well, first of all, there's the kill count.
In the first 10 minutes, we're introduced to a girl that's like in the church. She watches the kids sing a song, a rock and roll Jesus song. Nothing about Jesus, nothing about rock and roll in said song. It was just like, song. Literally, I do not know how to explain that song.
This is a good time to mention this. Music plays a significant role in this movie, I'd say.
Yes,
The
yes.
music fucking sucks
Yeah, it is
dog dick. It is
terrible.
awful, like garbage.
Yeah,
bad.
and this is like early 60s, mid 60s that we're supposed to be in, and they just never heard of music.
Yeah, like no matter what angle they go at, because there's like when he's in like his rock and roll band that's supposed to be a southern band, it sounds a lot like that Free song, All Right Now, Free type beat,
Yeah. And so he's singing the song, and the girl's like, hey, I'm having a party. You want to come to my party? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. And so he goes to the party. What's that stupid line? She's like, the church won't let us swim.
Oh yeah, there's something about like the church is angry at people for swimming, and it's because it's gonna make you want to fuck so much. And she's like, fuck that, let's just go swimming.
Yeah, so he takes him to like a creek or something.
It's like a wild raging river.
Yeah, there you go. It's like a river. She goes in and she starts drowning. The kid, like the guy, mind you, also says, I do not know how to swim. So like the girl gets in the water, she's like drowning, and all of a sudden like the river's just taking her. The tide, she's stuck. She's like hitting rocks and shit.
Oh my god.
And the guy's like, no, like chasing her, but like not swimming. He's just chasing her down the river. And it cuts to them in the house, and he's all like sad. And the dad, for some reason, the dad of the daughter's all like, you fucking let her die. You killed her. And then like the bad guy, the villain of the movie's like, you did this to her. You killed her. The dad's like, he didn't do anything. He's like, no, your son killed her. Which made him lose his mind and start taking LSD and make a three
Dog Night.
dog night band. and
So-
then like it just sucked.
Yeah, so that's his first kill. Second one would be the driver, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
he dies.
Yeah, he did, and that's like
Okay.
a 5-minute like.
No, I'm on fire
Yeah,
right now.
it's like 5 minutes away from each other. Those two dudes die. The girl
so-
and the guy dies
Within the first 10 minutes, he's got 2 deaths under his belt.
Do we count the mom dying?
Oh yeah, okay,
The
that's
mom's
3.
dead.
Probably related to him.
Yeah, he probably killed her giving birth.
Now it's cut to and this is like the real crux of the issue. So listen, we talked in Shazam about how you need like villains to have like menace and everything. This guy, the son of the owner of the church, like his whole beef with the guy is he's like, hey, everyone should have a chance to be forgiven. I was a rock and roll guy, and now I'm like not a sinner. And then the other guy, the son, was like, no, we teach holiness here. And the guy's like, so you've never made any mistakes? And he's like, no, holiness, look it up. So like, it's so flawed because it's not like Jesus Revolution, say what you will about it. It was like, hey man, we got to reach out to these hippies and bring rock and roll into this church and get the church up to date. And then you have old church people being like, no, we're old and traditional. And that's a conflict. The preacher guy is like saying, we need to teach forgiveness in the church because that's the whole fucking thing. And the other guy's like, no, like, but it's not that outside of it.
What's the real beef between him and the kid's dad? He already had beef with him to begin with. But
Because he was too loose or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, you let your son play that devil rock and roll music.
Yeah.
But then like you hated him before that.
I
So
know.
none of it made sense.
It's a real bad villain because he's no motivation.
He's just
needs
angry.
Yeah.
He wants to preach, but he can't.
You need to have like a guy that wants the church to fail so that he can build, a strip club or whatever on the property. And they say, no, we need to save it. Well, if you don't get 300 people here next week, and then they have to go out and get 300 people. That's how you tell a good Jesus story. This is not a good Jesus story. This is fucking nonsense. Time goes on like at an insane pace. You will not know what year you're at in this movie, partially, majorly, because no one changes their outfits. It goes from like 69 to like mid 70s to the mid 80s.
The best part is when he comes back after his friend dying in that fire.
Oh God!
And
okay,
like
I forgot.
he's dressed like a 50s guy still, right? Like he still has the pompadour, dressing like Johnny Cash or whatever. And like you have to assume it's like 1972 or something. So like he takes this girl that like he had a crush on in the 60s to a 50s style diner. So you're just confused on like what fucking year this is. And they're like eating milkshakes and shit. There's like 5 fucking glasses of milkshake on the table. And
Yeah.
did she eat all that?
In real life, it's like, they've gone out of the Vietnam War, like Watergate's happening,
Yeah.
JFK, RFK, all these, none of this mentioned in the movie. Like
Yeah.
anything that you would use, like cultural landmarks to ground you in time, completely just thrown aside.
If there's a date range where hairstyles, clothing, trends just rapidly change, it's during this period.
Yeah,
And you're saying
and
he just does not.
Nothing.
No, nothing. There's only one time, and it's in the 80s. And I'm so sad you walked out to go to the bathroom. There's a scene where like they kicked him out of the church. And he's like, fine, I'll do whatever then. And so they move, and all of a sudden they show him playing at a fucking like a wedding. And he's wearing like a tux and stuff. But the wife is playing like a synth, like 80s synth pop. And they're like singing about Jesus, but you can't tell what the song's really about. It's like that South Park episode where like Cartman makes like a Jesus band.
Right.
And he's like, I want to make love with you, Jesus. It's like that, but like the lady's playing 80s synth and the guy's playing guitar. The only way you can tell it's the 80s because all of a sudden he has like a denim jacket and he starts to look like Bruce Springsteen.
who is himself kind of looking like a 50s guy. So
Yeah.
it's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, oh, we're bringing this back, but it's like you've been doing that for a long time. Apparently, the entirety of the 70s and the 80s now. So like,
Oh God, we're glossing over
We're missing a lot.
another kill count that he has under his belt. This is so fucking bonkers. The kid is taking over the church. He's a preacher. Things are A-okay in his world. He's got his bass player who got ejected from the car. Guy with the burnt arm, right? He's working there with him. And that the son of the church owner is still out to get him kicked out of the church. No motivation that's even remotely passable. and they have a private eye trailing his friends, who works for him in the church, like snapping pictures of him drinking alcohol, talking to a woman who's technically a prostitute, but he doesn't actually sleep with the prostitute. He's just talking to him. But based on the photo he snaps, it literally just looks like he's talking to a lady.
Yeah, it's like he's at the door and he's like, "Nope, well, I'll see you later. Thanks for visiting me."
Oh, you don't want to have a prostitute time with me? No, thank you, but here's some money anyways. She's like, you're a nice guy. Anyways, I'll see you later. Bye. The private eye is capturing all of this lurid event. And he basically, the friend who got thrown out the window sees that this guy's spying on him. He's like, "Hey, you, get out of here." He goes, "I'm out of here."
Explain that better. Explain to the audience how he caught the guy taking photos of him.
Oh, so he's at a hotel room.
Yes.
And then he looks out the window and he just sees a guy. Like, I should say, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, Dylan, because it's not like he used subterfuge or like spy tech to reverse osmosis the fact that he was being spied on. The guy is just straight up holding up an old-timey camera like Lois Lane snapping a pic of Superman, or I guess it would be Jimmy Olsen, my bad. Just like snap, 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 snap. He's like, "Hey, you with the camera." Snap, snap, snap,
he's
snap,
like
snap.
in his car. The villain cameraman is in his car, like just like out, right? There's like a long-ass fucking lens pointing at him, like flashes are probably going off. And the guy's like walking around like the downstairs, like parking lot area, and he's like, "What are you taking photos of me? What the fuck is that?" Then he throws the camera. He catches him like that. Like he's in his face like a paparazzi. It's not like he's like hiding the fact that he's taking photos. Like if he was like on ground level walking towards you, you would not take a photo of this person.
Not if he didn't want to be caught.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, what the fuck was he doing?
That's how we did it in the 50s.
So,
Or 60s, 69. Oh, mind you, also, we forgot this whole thing, and we do not know if this was part of the community service.
Oh, yeah, because the judge, when he sentences him to community service, he's just like, you got to do community service, not like 40 hours, not 100 hours, just community service, some. So when the community service ends and just being a pastor begins, who is to say?
Yeah, because it all felt like he was doing community service till the 80s when they kicked him out of the church.
All right, so now the preacher's friend has been found with these incendiary photos, drinking alcohol, talking to a woman. What is the only logical thing you do when you're in this position, Dylan?
Oh, you call your friend.
Yes.
You say,
who's the preacher guy?
Who's the preacher man? And you say, "I'm so sorry, man.
What's wrong, dude?
I'm really sorry, dude. I'm drunk. I got a gun with me right now." "No, don't do it. Don't do it. Sorry. All right, I gotta go. Bye." And then it cuts to black, and then you just hear a shotgun blast.
Kill count raised.
3,
4 fatality if you count his mom.
4.
This lets the preacher guy say, "All right, I quit the church for an arbitrary amount of time."
Yeah, I don't even think the villains let him mourn the friend.
Yeah, just like, "Your friend killed himself.
'Cause
You
he
can't
was
preach here no more."
He was a sinner.
It is so stupid. This is an AI script for sure. And then, so now we're in the 80s. The OG preacher dad dies. And in his dad's journal, you now learn the shocking, inciting incident, which you, the viewer, didn't know up until this point. The judge who sentenced the kid to community service is the cousin of the son of the guy who owns the church. And his whole thing that he worked out with the judge was to make the dad quit in order to get the deal so that his son would get community service instead of going to jail. So the church owner's son, the villain of the story, was the puppeteer this whole time. And after you find that out from reading your dad's journal, you have no other choice but to get a gun and go to the guy's house, knock on his door, and say, "I know what you did to my daddy. You made him quit, and then you made me do church stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, I got cancer now, and I got kids around." And you go, "Okay, well, I'm not going to shoot you. In fact, forgive you. Give me a hug."
That's what he wanted all along.
That's what he got.
Yeah.
Then he turns around, shows off the gun.
Yeah, that he has tucked into his back pocket.
Yeah,
and
poorly.
the preacher's son guy sees, "Damn, I was going to get shot." and instead I got forgave. Now I know that forgiveness is important, which you never pick up from like the Bible. Like that's the main point of the whole goddamn religion that you guys are so into. It's like the number one thing. It's so silly that this is his point that he's fighting the guy on.
Wait, so the big scandal was that he got a lenient sentence because his dad agreed to retire early?
In order, yes, community service for his son instead of jail time for his son.
Yes.
And the jail was for drugs in the car that exploded.
Right.
Okay. So why does that upset the owner's son?
Oh, he wanted the dad out.
This is why he's a bad villain. We don't know why he hates him.
The dad, I have no idea why the church owner's son.
Is it like he thought he was going to get to be the preacher?
It felt like that, but you never see him like do an evil preach or anything. It's not like he's like up there like, so forgiveness is stupid.
Yeah.
Never forgive your enemy.
Only never sin. That's
Live
the only
mercilessly.
thing. Just to only never sin is the whole point of this.
Okay.
Again, I'm not saying what makes sense. I'm only saying what I've seen. And so now the preacher gets an offer. Hey, you can preach again at this church. They need a fill-in guy. He goes, okay, I'll go. And then he goes to preach fill-in for the sermon. And then they're like, well, that was a good thing. You're going to be our permanent preacher now. He goes, what? And they go, yeah, you're going to be the main guy. And he goes, but I was just, and then you see the church owner's son, the villain of the story, in a car outside being like, yep, I arranged this whole thing.
I did that.
Flicks
his toothpick into the grass.
Yeah.
Drives off.
Yeah. And then because he arranged.
So that he would go to a different church?
Yeah, he had sway. No, this is the reward for forgiving.
Oh.
Yeah, because the kid stopped preaching because he's not a pastor anymore.
Now he gets to have the church.
You.
So yeah, he takes over the church. Because now he has a church to preach at, which is all he wanted to do this whole time.
I see.
Is to teach the Southern gospel. And then it's post credits. He went on to start this church, which is huge. But I don't know that that's a real church now. And now I'm just that's why I feel bamboozled, Brent.
Also, the way he preaches is through rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have the shittiest. Oh my God. Preach, Dylan, brother Dylan. Tell these motherfuckers what's going on.
So every time they shoot him like preaching in any church setting, he's only singing and playing guitar. And it's like, again, like I said before, you do not know what the fuck the song's about, other than like he might want to make love with Jesus. This might have nothing to do with anything at all, just words being said. And that's it. That's like his entire preach method. Sometimes when he does actually like preach, it's fine. It's like we should forgive our fellow man. And also, guys, I was a heroin addict at some point, and you look at me now. I am clean. I used to be a rock and roller, but now I am a preacher, and I'm preaching to you. And your life can change if you live with forgiveness.
Question for the two of you.
Yes.
Could and should this movie be remade in the secular world with Austin Butler in the lead?
Nah.
No.
The way it is now is perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You can't improve on perfection. You forgot to mention that the song he's playing, it's like a John Mayer cover of
that's right.
Shut the fuck up.
it is I swear to God, like the same chord progressions as Purple Rain.
No.
Yeah. It's a
Yes.
Purple Rain rip.
It is a straight up, and
Ouch.
only the guy voicing is like, ha, 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 ha. That's how he's singing in like the mid 80s.
Forgiveness and Jesus.
Jesus is a wonderland.
Yeah.
Over like a Purple Rain type beat. It's like, this is a good movie. I like this.
Dude, we were crying.
It was fucking insane. This is
Also, one thing I'd like to note about this, Dylan and Colin saw this movie in a movie theater that was supposed to close on February 15th and is somehow still open
Because it's
over
the
a month
best
later.
it is a fucking
It
cool
is the
theater.
second best theater.
I agree.
ever
It's an
was,
awesome
yeah.
theater, but it's like they said they were going to close on February 15th,
Yeah.
and it's
Maybe
been
they
over a
meant
month.
February 15th, 2020.
Nope,
There was
2023.
there
Got
was
a couple years.
wave of announcements earlier this year. There's like, we're closing a bunch of Regals, but yet all the Regals are still open,
Because they make
including
a lot of money.
Yeah,
Esco probably was like, hell no.
yeah,
Not taking their one thing away.
not me. Could never be me. Anyways, yeah, Southern Gospel, Dylan.
Yes.
Since we're the only ones that saw the movie, it's just going to be me and you. All the other people will assume like it. Are you getting on your knees and praying forgiveness, or are you going to die a heathen and go to hell? To me, the answer is very fucking obvious. You ask for forgiveness. You go straight to heaven, and the feeling of being in heaven, I can only imagine, is as good as watching this wonderful film. Dylan, final review.
I'm a praise Jesus. That movie was great. I would if heaven was this experience, I'm just glad that I had a guy like you next to me, just doing commentary and just crying. If that's heaven, if that's not heaven, I don't know what is.
Hey,
it
listen.
must be hell. 'Cause I almost pissed my pants. I didn't want to use the bathroom like you did. I was like, I can't miss anything.
Hey,
It's the best movie I've seen.
if heaven has a band,
Yes.
if heaven exists, they've got to have one hell of a band.
Fuck off.
Because of all the good musicians.
Oh God, I love that movie so fucking much.
It's the music is it's like a borderline musical. The music sucks dick. Straight up fucking blows.
I will say, to the movie's credits, at least it wasn't like a full-on 5-minute song.
Yeah,
it was
no.
like a minute snippet of just like shitty music.
Yeah, it's like verse, chorus, and we're done.
Yeah.
But no, those Jesus movies make bank, bro. Isn't that Jesus Revolution movie like kicking ass right now in the box office?
Weirdly.
The exception, though.
I mean, so was God's Not Dead when it came out?
Yeah, but that Kelsey Grammer one is like has a real company
Yeah,
behind
exactly.
it. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure that they're just playing it, everywhere that they
Yep.
would normally play stuff. So it's able to make money like a normal movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure if Lionsgate or whatever picked up this movie, they'd be able to do the same thing. Why not?
I don't know.
I thought from the poster, I wasn't sure again if this was like, is this just about some country singer
Right.
that becomes a preacher? Because it kind of just looks like that. And I honestly thought it was based on a real person. I was like,
swear to fucking God, and this is like maybe just, some hole in my brain or something. I swore we saw a like biopic for
Yes.
specifically like Johnny Cash
Yes.
converting to gospels.
that's what I
And
thought this was.
Googling like Johnny Cash gospel biopic, and it only shows the old movie or whatever.
That's what I thought this was, and I have that same memory of
Okay.
like the poster, seeing it. It's like a poster that's way at the end of the aisle,
Oh,
like by
right.
the exit.
Yeah.
And,
I know what you're talking
and
about,
I was
yeah.
like, really? This movie is coming out? And then I was like, I don't care about Johnny Cash, and apparently it's not that either. So
Yeah, it doesn't scream Jesus movie until you watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not where this party ends, because we also watch. I dare say,
Another
Dylan?
great musical.
Dylan, would you agree or disagree that the movie we're going to discuss, Magic Flute, is the name of the movie?
Yes.
Do you agree that this is the strangest of all the movies we saw this week?
So far,
Oddest
I would say,
of these 5 that we're talking about this week.
this is the weirdest movie of all 5. I think this is the weirdest movie of so far of the last 3 months.
Then Devil Conspiracy.
That's true, but that was also like, I don't know. Is that weird? That movie was just fucking nuts.
yeah,
Right.
This was just weird because it's like, what the fuck is this?
Walk us through like how this came on your radar. Was it just the
So,
app?
All
We
right.
looked up goodmovies.com.
Our
yeah,
favorite
yeah,
website.
Yeah.
So like new movies come out on Thursday, right? And we usually record the show sometime on the weekend after you see the movie. So you'll see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then record Sunday, let's say, which leads you, if you're doing the math, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no new movies. And so you kind of, if on those days, ideally, if you miss a movie from the last week, you can watch that the next week, blah, blah, blah. Really boring, right? But the bottom line is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no new movies. What are you going to do? You just start looking at the app and be like, what's out? What's there? What can we see? What can we fit in if you can? And then it's like, well, here's this Magic Flute movie. What the fuck is this? Because the description is very odd. Should I read the Regal?
Please do, because I know
Oh,
nothing
man.
about
I don't even know if we
this.
can
I need
explain it.
background.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I think it might not even be in the app anymore. Let's
Okay.
see. All right. This is like it's like a wall of text for the description. From executive producer Roland Emmerich, Moonfall, comes a captivating film that follows a teen on 2 journeys. One into a prestigious boarding school to fulfill his aspirations as a singer, and another into a parallel world filled with fantasy and adventure. That is one sentence, has a parenthetical and a semicolon. Tim, Jack Wolf, Shadow and Bone, has been dreaming his whole life. Why are you bringing up these movies and has been dreaming his whole life about attending Mozart all-boys music school, but already his first days there confront him with a hostile headmaster, played by F. Murray Abraham, only of the White Lotus fame, the stresses of a first love, and serious doubts about the authenticity of his singing voice. That is sentence number 2. When he discovers a magical gateway into the school's library, he is pulled into the fantastic cosmos of Mozart's opera, The Magic Flute, where imagination has no limits and the queen of the night, Sabine Devilhy, reigns. That's 3 sentences, and that was like 4 minutes of straight speaking.
It just sounds like a musical Harry Potter.
Right. It sounds like Harry Potter because it's just a bunch of convoluted gibberish that they're throwing at you. However, it's like it undersells, let's say, the real premise of the movie, which is an adaptation of Mozart's Die Zauber. Wait, what is it?
Mozart's The Magic Flute.
Mozart's Die Zauberflöte, aka the Magic Flute. So the opera or Songspiel is like a heavy part to the movie. It's like 2/3 of the movie, and it's kind of undersold, I think, in the description. I am not familiar with this Songspiel, so I was like, oh, okay, it's an opera adaptation. Also odd because originally the opera is in German, and when people are doing opera in German, it's like Mission Holland, Fallen, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's an opera. But like when it's in English, it's like, you are standing there and I am here, and that is really weird, just in its own right. And because it's so like adapted for like a YA audience, it's all translated and they're singing what they're doing, and it is just so strange to see. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. Basically, this kid is going to the school, very Hogwarts, going to an academy. Everyone's a super singer. Everyone's super into Mozart, of course, because they're teenagers. And he's got a roommate who has a dark secret. There's bullies, basic like academy stuff, right? There's a girl, but the girls go to a separate academy that's like across the hill.
All boys Mozart, sorry.
Right. Which sounds like a badass anime, honestly. All boys Mozart school. Would watch. So on their side, they are learning Mozart and they're loving it. He met a girl on the train who's going to the girls' school, and there's like, basic stuff, like 15, 20 minutes. And then he gets visited by three sprites.
Yeah, 3 orbs.
Yeah, that look like the ghost balls from Haunted Mansion. You know the ghost balls from Haunted Mansion. They guide him. Now, like I said, this is where I say this is the weirdest movie I've seen this year, because the spirits guide him to a grandfather clock, and they tell him to put this book that his dad gave him into this book slot at exactly 3 a.m. And the grandfather clock opens up, and he goes through the portal, and they're like, okay, just play along with what's going on here, okay? Go with it.
Don't fuck around.
You got to be this guy. And so he becomes Prince Tamino here. And there's a giant ass snake immediately.
Yeah. And that snake scared the fuck out of me. I was alone in that theater. Colin had just left to go to the bathroom.
Man, he keeps leaving
I
you.
take a lot of bathroom breaks.
He leaves me there to suffer alone with this scary ass giant snake. And all of a sudden he starts singing like, I'm being chased by a snake. I'm being hiding in a rock. And
This is the first time you're hearing singing in the movie.
Yeah, like that too. And it's like, not even in the school they're singing yet. He is singing in this other world, and he's singing like that. Yeah. And there's a fucking, like a really good looking big ass snake screaming at you.
And if you were to look at like the posters and promo for the movie, you would assume it's mostly snake oriented.
For giant monsters.
It is not. This is the first and last time you see the snake.
It lasts literally an entire bathroom break. Because Colin came back and it was never mentioned again.
Well, so in the song spiel, in the opera, the Prince Tomino's like, oh, there's a snake, and he's singing in German, and he's like, please God's help me, there's a snake, and I want him dead. And these 3 ladies come down, and it's like, in the Wikipedia entry of this, I don't want to give anyone the idea that I'm too highbrow here. They're like, yeah, these 3 ladies come down, these goddess ladies or whatever, and they think this prince is super hot. So like, fuck it, I'll save a prince. And so they kill the snake. And then the queen of the night comes down, and she's like, oh, you killed a snake? That's pretty cool. And he goes, yeah, I guess I did. And she's like, save my daughter. She's a princess. And he goes, all right. And then this other guy comes in who's like, I am Papageno. I am a bird catcher.
That's cool.
He is like a bird catcher guy.
Papageno's fucking badass.
Papageno goes fucking hard in this flick. And they meet up. And again, it wouldn't be nearly as weird if it was just in German, because then you kind of wouldn't like
think about it.
It would just feel like an opera. But instead, it just feels like people going, I am the bird catcher for the night lady. And the Queen of the Night looks fucking badass. Very looks a lot like Hela from Thor 3, or like that kind of, big superhero god stuff, capes flying everywhere, night powers. And she's like, go save my friend. She says, okay. And they start the perilous journey to go to the place where the princess is being held captive. And then, whoa, boom, he's back into the real world. He just gets absorbed back into the world arbitrarily. You want this to be like Never-Ending Story, where
Page
you're just
Master.
where it's like, I'm in this crazy world, and then you're telling the whole story, and then I'm out of it. No, it's like, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. So you keep on getting sucked into this B plot of like his academy life and his roommate and this girl, and where they meet up.
And this bully, and the headmaster, who's also a bully, and the teacher that's teaching him about Mozart.
And he's going along with all this, and he's like, all right, guys, 3 a.m., I got to dip. And he goes back into the world.
Like, you would rather go back into the 3 a.m. world.
And he's back in the 3 a.m. world. He's like, okay, shit, where's Papageno? Where's my homeboy? I got to rescue this princess.
And like, mind you, in real time, from what we gathered, in real time of when he's gone from the 3 a.m. world, it's still going, because like when they cut back to the 3 a.m. world, Propaganda is like at the princess's like the castle where she's kept
like,
hidden.
hey, where'd you go, man?
Yeah, and he's all like and then when he gets back into that world, he's like in the middle of the forest, like, hey, he's over there. Fuck, and he starts sprinting over there.
They have to find each other again because
Yeah.
he disappeared.
Yeah. And then the guy the Propaganda just kind of takes it. He's like, oh shit, okay. Like, he's just like keeps going with the journey.
So the princess is being held captive by Monostatos.
Yes.
It's like mean guy. He's like, I'm gonna get you, a little princess girl. But he's like just the henchman for Sorastro, who's actually fucking badass. He's this guy in the movie. He's like, he's got one of these opera voices, and it's fucking cool just because that voice is always cool, right? And but he's got this little golem-y little guy who's like messing with the girl, and he's a creep, and it's bad, and they got to rescue him. And Papageno's up there. He gets in, and he's like, I will save you from that guy. Please save me from this guy. And he tries to get her out. And then, boom, the Prince Tamino, the main kid, he gets back in the mix. Like, what'd I miss? And Papageno's like, dude, so much. We're about to get busted.
We're running away from the castle.
Yeah. So
we have the girl.
So yeah, now they're
he
like,
didn't even rescue her.
well, he kind of got him out, but then that Sarastro, who's the main guy, he's like, whoa, what's going on here? And then they're like, your guy who you have watching over this lady, he's a dickhead. And he's like, what? That's pretty messed up. Punish that guy. Sarastro's a cool dude. He's just kidnapped this princess, like, but he's cool about it, I guess. So
she's kind of accepting too. She's like, my mom's kind of a bitch.
Yeah, she's not into it.
Like literally, like she's against her mom.
And like the mom comes in at night, and she does. There's this like, I don't know. This is gonna sound shocking to the listeners at home. I don't know much about opera, but this is like one of those few pieces where it's like.
That one.
Yeah, that piece is when the mom comes and talks to the daughter and is just like, hey, you gonna get out of here? You should get out of here. You shouldn't be here. And then she's like, no, I want to stay here. Whatever.
You're missing one cool thing.
I'm missing a lot of cool things.
There's one cool scene when Propaganda is saving the princess. Like he is singing out loud, and the princess doesn't know he's up there yet. He's all like, "Oh, Nightingale, I'm gonna save you," and then like he goes down, beats up that guy, and then she starts singing like, "Thank you for saving me, and now I'm gonna do my mission." And he's like, "There'd be more time for singing later." So I'm all like, "Wait a minute!" So they're acknowledging that they're singing, and he's like singing out loud up on top. Like there's no roof. He's just singing out loud to her. And she never acknowledges it. The bad guy or the one guy never acknowledges that he's like singing above them. Like So they're acknowledging that they're singing and like they're talking and singing. It's insane. I loved it. I'm just happy they kind of mentioned it there, so that just way like, oh, so they know that they're singing and that they're all acknowledging that they're good singers, and this is how they communicate with each other.
All right, so this obviously isn't a religious movie, right?
No,
No,
this is
nothing
an
to do with
opera
religion.
movie. Unless
Okay.
your religion is Mozart's opera.
But like, who's it for?
I think it's for music teachers who have like middle schoolers to show them a movie when they're like sick. Where it's
Okay.
like, look, now you can learn about Mozart's opera without like having to watch a bunch of like German people screaming at each other on
Okay.
stage. You can kind of like follow the story now. And then maybe retroactively, if you watch the movie when you have more, or when you watch the actual opera, you'd be like, oh, I know Papageno. That's what's up. He's looking for a lady. Oh, and then there's this other badass part. I'll skip ahead because they're like, you got to go through some trials. And he goes, okay, I'll do some trials. Whoa, I'm being sucked back into reality. Then he has to, hang out with his girl. He's not allowed to. She gets expelled. She has to come back to the world. And bro, it's so
No,
fucking
you're missing
silly.
it. He goes back in the world, talks to the real world girl that he like likes, and she's like, "You want to make out?" And he's like, "Look at the time, it's 2:58. I gotta get the fuck out of here." And then she gets mad at him because it's like, "Yeah, of course, I'd be pissed off too." I'm like, "Hey, we've been spending a lot of time together. Maybe you want to like do something?" Nah. There's a princess in another world that I have to go make out
It's
with.
fucked up. These two fucking horny teenagers start their hangout session at midnight, and like they're dicking around. Okay, this is like kind of a what do they call it? A motif in the film. When they meet on the train, he's like, "What are you listening to? Some avant-garde classical music?" She's like, "No, the Jackson 5." And he's like, "Oh, you're a rebel or whatever." And then they start singing a Jackson 5 song at the
Like later
piano.
in the later movie.
What?
Yeah. And anyways, so yeah, they're dicking around with all that. And then 3 a.m. happens. It's like, all right, let's make out. He goes, I gotta go.
And like her dad, they reveal that her dad is the headmaster or whatever. Like watching, he's like up there watching them do
For
this,
3
like
hours.
singing the Jackson 5 song. He's all mad about it.
Again, this is B plot. Meanwhile, Prince Tamino has to go through these trials to prove himself to the daughter of the Queen of the Night. And then the cool thing happens at the end. They're like, okay, you beat all the trials. You can now be together. And then Papageno's like, what about me? And then he's like, we got you a girl, because he didn't have a girl the whole time. And Papageno gets Papagena. And they go, Papageno, 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 Papageno.
Stupid.
It's fucking cool.
It's fucking cool.
It's very fucking cool.
Yeah, because they're like singing for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt like forever, but it was like cool.
Yeah,
but she
dancing
like
around and stuff.
exists, right? They don't just like create her.
Oh no, she is a person that they link up with him.
Okay.
And her name is Papagena, and his name is
Okay.
Papageno.
All right, good.
But no, they don't like make her out of clay or
Okay.
something. She's just like, oh, you want a girl?
The first way they show her, she's all like, she looks like a crazy homeless lady. She's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, nope, no, don't want this. And all of a sudden, he turns back around. She's like, just some attractive singing lady.
Are you sure you don't want me? Well, now I do want you.
Yeah, exactly. Papageno,
Papageno.
Papageno. Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And like what you said, this is like what you said too. It was like I thought it was gonna be a Shallow Hal
Yeah.
situation. Like she turns back into what we saw her originally, and he's all sad. Like he loses, but no, he just like kind of wins.
Yeah.
And they leave it at that.
Papageno worked hard in this movie.
And it's crazy because he gets the final song.
Yeah.
Explain to them the plot, the subplot of the bully that doesn't want to sing, who is the lead of the magic flute play that's
Okay.
happening IRL, where he's like, I don't want to sing because my dad's a singer. I want to play drums. And then thus, when the slot opens to be Prince Tamino, that just makes the kid that we've been following the whole time be able to play Prince Tamino
In the play.
in the
Oh.
play.
The
And
IRL play.
At the school.
he's never once like rehearsed or anything. And the headmaster's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. He's like, nah, I got this. And then like the play starts, but you don't see him sing anything.
Credits.
Credits.
Oh.
Yeah, the curtains open. He takes his place on the stage and film.
So he does not get the last song.
No.
Like I said, Propaganda gets the last song. You couldn't at least like give us the very last like whatever, the triumphant song or whatever. The Propaganda has that one. That's insane. Could show us the very final act of whatever play that they're doing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not like magic exists in this world. It only exists to the Prince Tamino. everyone. No, that was actually one of the best parts of the movie. He's trying to explain. He finally like explains everything to his roommate, like why he's been disappearing at 3 a.m. And he's like, "You don't believe me, do you?" And he's like, "Do I believe that you have been magically transported into Mozart's beloved masterpiece, the Magic Flute? No, I don't. But I do believe that you've been going through something, and like I'm going to help you out with it." So it's like, all right, this guy is our.
That's us.
Yeah, he's literally us. He's not believing any of this nonsense, and nor should he. This is a insane movie. It's very odd. I don't think it's in the theaters anymore. I'm really glad I saw it. It is actually entertaining, I would say, in just how odd it is. Like whenever they start singing and like they're talking these words that really shouldn't be in English at all, it's genuinely amusing. The effects are way above their weight class. Kind of cool to look at. Listen, I named off 2 bangers, okay? And the music is great. Like, sorry, it's fucking really good opera music. Yeah. The score is a bop.
There's a reason.
Certified front to back.
Popular
this guy Mozart, he's going places.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna fucking drop this shit. Watch this, dude.
Boom. Papageno.
Yeah.
Anyways, overall, I'm not even gonna come up with a pithy little bit. I'm just gonna recommend this movie because it's very fucking odd. Dylan,
I recommend it too, and like there's a little bit Harry Potter, being that they're British and they go to a school. But I want to say it's more like The Covenant, where they go to a school and it's one side of the school is for boys only and the other half is for girls. Thus, why I think it's more Covenant related, because there's more witchcraftery. It's crazy. I don't know. Anyway, watch it. If you like Mozart, you'd like it. If you like special effects, you'd like it. The orbs are really cool. They're funny. They're just like, like literally like children talking like that to this teenager.
He has to follow the chuckling balls to the.
And they're watching him and no one sees him. It's just him. He's like, they're like around, like, you see that? They're like, what? Watch it. It's good.
Dylan, tell the people what we're watching next week.
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. Join us next time where we talk about John Wick 4. What happens? I don't know. It's going to be a wild ride. Next we got a good person. Is she? We'll find out. Also got The Lost King. Has my girl Sally Hawkins from Paddington and Shape of Water. I'm sure it's going to be good as them. We maybe got some other stuff in the chamber, but you'd have to find out next time on the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. Bye!